Welcome to Ask the Pro. I'm Chris Dufay, and this is where I'm here to give you what's needed to create the online business, the money, and importantly, the freedom that you want. The Ask the Pro show has been upgraded, and it's also got a new home, which is turningproacademy.com. Now, if you go to turningproacademy.com, all the podcast episodes, video episodes, and in-depth articles are there waiting for you right now. Plus, if you go to turningproacademy.com/start here, then you can get access to the free coaching guides. So if you want to know how to double or triple your clients in just a few weeks, or if you want to know how to start and grow your online business, be sure to go to turningproacademy.com/start here to get access to it now. Welcome to Ask the Pro. I'm Chris Dufay, and this is where I'm giving you what's needed to create the online business, the money, the freedom, and the life that you want. And I'm really happy to be able to share this episode with you. I get on Kolby, which I've been seeing is doing great work, and after creeping him out on the social media networks, I just knew I had to get him on. And well, he absolutely delivers. This episode is phenomenal. We really delve into some key concepts, such as what's holding entrepreneurs back and why the two different types of entrepreneurs means you need to act and think differently. How to prioritize what matters so you're not wasting your time or spinning your wheels and being able to achieve forward momentum. How to take your idea right now to be able to be making revenue, the importance of a 30-second sales pitch, and the 3 steps so you can start crafting your own with this episode. Now, this episode is brought to you to a big thanks to my other nutrition and fitness company, that is My Body Blends. So if you want the high-grade nutrition and supplements that are designed to give your body what's needed and make your life simple, and the expert coaching, head on over to mybodyblends.com. Also, if you think you're good enough to come on board as an ambassador to get the special rates and to have your clients taking the products that you trust and you earn the rewards on, be sure to head on over to mybodyblends.com and apply. Now, if you are loving the Ask the Pro show, then please do leave a review and share this out. What I'm going to be doing is, for everyone that does leave a review, and if I read your review out, that means all you need to do is get in contact with me, and I'm going to give you free entrance into the online fitness business blueprint, the actual program that will walk you through in 28 days what you need to be doing so you can get your fitness business thriving. And let's kick this off. And we've got one from Adam Bland from 5 stars on iTunes, and it says, "Wow, these podcasts are so good. Chris has really gone all out and gotten together an amazing array of experts to entertain and fill our minds with priceless information. Do yourself a favor and structure listening to each and every one of these podcasts and take notes, implement them, and action. My new favorite things podcast. Thanks, Chris Dufay. You're a legend." Adam, that's really kind. I really appreciate you leaving that review. So, Adam, get in contact with me. I'll be sending you the online fitness business blueprint so you can start rocketing your business off as well. Now, let's get straight into this episode, shall we? But before we do that, we do have to cover one important fact, and that is for you to really get the most out of you being here with me, and for you to get the free coaching guides that will show you how to double to triple your clients in 1 month or more, how to start and grow your online fitness business, or how to have clients coming to you without you being salesy or a douchebag, then head on over to chrisdufay.com. That's Chris, DUFEY.com. All the show notes, podcasts, and video episodes are there as a best resource for health professionals to build the business that they want, and you can too. Now, enough chatting, enough chin wagging, enough blowing hot air. Let's bring on what we're really here for, and that's Kolby delivering. Kolby, thank you so much, my man, for coming on and really about to start delving into and being on board the Ask the Pro podcast. I'm pumped for you to get here. Now, just before we hit record, I said I've seen some insights of the brilliance of the man that you are and what you're doing. So I'm really excited to delve into some really deep topics here that I know the listener is going to be able to walk a lot away from. But even before we start jumping into all of that, I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time for myself and the listeners, mate.
Oh, Chris, man, it's a pleasure and honor, dude. I really appreciate you having me on the show. And I put a shirt on. I was doing some burpees and push-ups before this interview, so I'll be ready. So let's go.
That's it. That's good. I don't have a shirt on. I'm just sitting here in shorts because it's 6 a.m. in the morning and it's warm in Bali. So that's all right. We can move on. This is good stuff. And doing some push-ups and burpees before an interview, I like that. It's good style.
It's weird because I'm at a public place and I've got a suit on, so they're just looking at me like I'm strange.
This is going exactly where I want to take it. Okay, so let's jump into who is Kolby? What are you all about? Why are you so phenomenal?
Well, phenomenal is an overstatement. Let's not oversell it here, Chris. I'm
setting the bar high.
Yes, man. I'm going to jump and grab it. So I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the States. My mother was an entrepreneur. Father was a physical laborer. He worked for the power and water company as I grew up. And, my dad went to work 15, 16 hours a day digging holes and came home. And my mom worked, 15 hours a day to run a company. So I got kind of the best of those things growing up. I spent a stint in the music industry as a tour manager and a booking agent for some large hip hop acts. And then I took an adjacency, went into corporate America. Through corporate America, I saw the middle-aged white guy in the corner office driving the expensive sports car. And as a humble kid growing up, I thought kind of monetary success was success. So I did whatever I could to sit with the top performers to kind of get to that stage. And I did that in over 15 years. I did that at 3 different large companies here in the States. I took an exit and really found I had a love for building and starting businesses and helping entrepreneurs. And over the last 3 years, have built, started, or sold 6 different companies that have done close to $50 million in revenue and have helped over 300 entrepreneurs.
All right. Bang it. Now,
well, I got to put this in there, man, because if my wife hears this, she's going to kill me. I am a husband and I am a father, first and foremost, before anything.
But I appreciate that, and I'm completely on board with it. How many children do you have?
Too many to count. I have 4.
Shit, 4. I tip my cap. Nice work. Okay. All right. I'm humbled. Let's bring it back. What do you think you learned from your mother and father watching your dad be a laborer and watching your mother being an entrepreneur and both working a lot? It sounds like work ethic is something that you really took on board.
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris. I think being broke sucks. That was the first thing I noticed.
Yeah.
We always had enough, but it was always a scramble. And then it was, it definitely is a lot of hours. I mean, there were times where my mother was in logistics, and we would be out at the docks loading trucks. That was one of the first jobs I had. Was very, lifting freight to load semis that could drive across the states to deliver close to the Gap. Or my dad just seeing how exhausted he was at the end of the day, and his hands just being bloodied and beat from working a shovel all day, and he couldn't hardly function because he was so exhausted. But they also made time for the family. Before they separated, there was always time for the kids, and I grew up in a loving home. My parents did divorce and went separate ways, but there was that sense of work ethic, but there was always a sense that family is important and that no job is worth sacrificing the family for.
Okay. I love that. And I think that's really important. Like, I think backgrounds similar-ish, like my kind of growing up was by no means did we have a lot of money, but there was always a lot of love, but it was always seeing my parents work so hard. So my parents, they were 17 when they had me. Do you know what I mean? So by no means was I completely a planned child, but yep. I see them and the sacrifices that they went through for myself. And I think it's an interesting thing, maybe looking upon myself and now being a father as well, looking at what do I do as a man and as a father to be able to do what I need to be able to do moving forward. And no, I think that's really interesting. Slight tangent, but we like that.
No, that's perfect, man. It's right on point.
Okay, so one thing I really wanted to jump in with you, Kolby, is you working with so many entrepreneurs now, having so much success, being able to build these businesses, start and grow. I'd love to know, starting with a point of where do you find entrepreneurs are being held back, both extrinsically and intrinsically?
Oh, that's another good question. I think there's 2 parts. So let me define entrepreneur. You've got solopreneur who's kind of a one-person shop who has a product or service or an idea that they would like to launch to market to drive revenue for supplemental income or full-time. And then you've got entrepreneurs who've got maybe 5 or 6 people, 7 employees. They've got a revenue stream already. They've got a product or service that is kind of moving and then need help kind of pushing that past the starting. They've already started, but pushing that past the tipping point. Mm-hmm. So both of those are very different. The world for me, here's the system that let me get beyond the philosophical. Let me get deep for just a second.
Go for it, brother.
The financial system is built against you. The system that we exist in today is rigged. What I mean by that is, you go to high school here in the States to learn how to study and test. Then you get out and you go to college. 75% of people that come out of university in the United States are in debt. $30,000 to $40,000 is the average. So then what happens is I get a job working. Hopefully it's something I like to do, but I want to get the most high-paying job I can to help me, kind of knock that debt down, right? Then what happens is I wake up, 15 years later. I've got 2 children. I've got a house payment, a car payment, and I'm miserable. And that dream that I had 15 years ago is gone. But here I am now living for the weekends. I've got my 2 weeks paid vacation. I'm making, 6 figures, maybe modestly, and I've got my vacation time, and that's kind of it for me. And I forget about all those things that I love to do. That's the system. That's the system that we're playing against. And then what you're told is when you retire at 65, then you can go do what you like to do, maybe. But the benefits and the systems that are set up here, unless you've saved a lot of money, is there's no money left for you once you retire. The system's barely minimum wage. It's like $30,000 a year. So one of the things that I really strive is to show people how to make supplemental income on ideas. Like how do you, start a subscription service? How do you leverage Amazon to your benefit and source products through Alibaba and start an online business that generates $5-6 grand a month? Like those types of things to help a solopreneur, one, get out of debt. The debt system is what you want to get away from. Be debt free, number one. And then second piece is saving money. Because money doesn't necessarily buy happiness, Chris. What money does is allows you freedoms, and freedoms draw happiness. Mm-hmm. That's one group that I'm very, very, if I could go all in and start a business that just did that, I would do that full time. The next piece is, why are entrepreneurs intrepid, and what holds them back? If you've made the decision to be an entrepreneur, you already know you're going to be alone and you're going to be ostracized. People don't get it. They don't understand it. They oftentimes, in one day, you could have had the best phone call to losing a huge order, to having your back end systems crash, to at a red light, you get a phone call for another big order that pushes your business over. That could happen by lunchtime. Like those types of emotional roller coasters, it's not for everybody. Like it is not for everybody. So I think the things that hold entrepreneurs back, the number one thing that I see across everybody I've ever spoken to is fear. The fear of failure, the fear of being ostracized, the fear of what my family and friends are going to think, the fear of not being able to be successful, the fear of a marketplace not accepting my product or service after validation. And the next piece is taking action. They just don't do it. They talk about it and they wait until it's perfect. And then by the time it's perfect, it never gets released. And you've lost that time to market. Time to market is extremely important when you're trying to disrupt something.
I love the process in which the way your mind breaks that down and has the steps involved with that. And I think something I'd love to kind of maybe delve into is fear is such a big factor in holding people back. And I think, do you see it is in the fear of being ostracized, the fear of failure is stopping that human being, stopping that person wanting to become that entrepreneur and taking that idea to market. And in that scenario that you said, it's like, all right, you've woken up 15 years later and went, holy shit, I'm not happy. I'm not in the greatest of situations. And then the fear flips and the fear is, well, I can't keep living like this. So that pain gets so strong that ends up getting that person to take action moving forward.
No, I think it's more it holds them back because they've got comfortable with where they are. Now it's different. Now their risk is too high. I got a family and house. Right?
Okay, brilliant. Okay. And, I'll be perfectly upfront and honest as well. So I got to a point, you wouldn't know this, Kolby, and I'm not going to presume that the audience knows this as well, but running my personal training business in Sydney, I got to a point where my wife and I just got married. She just fell pregnant a few days before. And I saw this whole white picket fence life coming up in, and it was like, that's not what we want. Like, that's not actually what we signed up for. Both myself and my wife were like this. And so anyway, I had an opportunity to move to Dubai, start a brand new business and go down there. And like, we took that risk. I was like, I've got to do this. Like, this has to happen. And luckily the steps they've fallen in place, and it is what it is right now, which is fantastic. But I think that's so brilliant. What you said is that fear of being held back. And I think it's an interesting thing, because you do have to be able to take action before the chips start piling up, which are only going to hold you back even further.
Yes. Well, let me put it to you this way. So being in the personal training space, Chris, I guarantee you've seen this. Let's talk about any major life change that has to happen. Let's start with health and fitness. Okay, so once I make a conscious decision to change my diet and to add physical activity and supplementation to the rotation to make myself better, what happens if the spouse is not involved?
As in, not on board, not supportive.
Yeah, like, well, they don't necessarily, they're not in the same place.
Shit hits the fan and doesn't happen.
But the success doesn't happen. The success rate, if the spouse is not involved, is almost none, right? Or what you'll see is when that person makes that choice and they decide to go through it, even if the spouse is on board, those closest to us, I was talking about this at lunch with a friend of mine. I don't know why this is the way it is. I think there's some philosophical debate on it. The better you try to make yourself and the changes you try to make yourself to draw progression, those closest to you seem to be the ones that are most angry and try to trip you and ostracize you and push you down along the way. So what you'll find a lot of times is, as soon as you start to see success, people want to see you fail, and those closest to you seem to be the ones that try to push you over. And I don't know why that is, but I've seen it in physical fitness, I've seen it in business, I've seen it in personal stuff.
So true, and I've seen actually a lot of the time as well. Say a woman will come train with me or one of my trainers or something like that, and then she ends up in a divorce because the life of her and her partner actually was starting to go different ways. She was making different choices, wanted to go down a different path, and it's actually quite a common scenario.
Yeah, it's the same with business. It's the same exact thing with business.
Let's bring that back to, let's say, all right, we're both males with wives, children. How do we help that success, because we know that our wife, our partner, is such an important piece to the puzzle?
You have to include them.
Yeah.
You have to consciously make the decision that they're part of the equation. I'll put it to you this way, Chris. There was years when I was kind of chasing the executive role, where I saw the people that were closest to me, the people I was emulating or my mentors, had given up their families. I mean, they were on the road 30 days out of 31. They were living a very aggressive lifestyle, chasing a dollar. And you saw their families suffered, and 9 times out of 10, they got divorced. And what I saw was, I didn't want that to be me. I became a single dad really young. And when I got remarried, I've been married now 10 years, and we've got three additional children, I don't want to make that sacrifice. I don't want to sacrifice my family for dollars and then come back and hope they're there.
Yes.
I want them to be along the way to enjoy that. So I schedule time for my family.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a split with so much more for you. Now, I know you're listening and tuning in because you know how important your health is and how this can also catapult your business. This is why I'm very happy to say that this podcast is sponsored by My Body Blends and my favorite, the superfood elixir, the powerful greens drink. Now, this is designed specially to boost energy, aids detoxification, enhances the ability to burn fat, supports healthy carbohydrate metabolism, and best of all, is voted best tasting greens drink. Now, myself and the My Body Blends team are looking for ambassadors to join, so you and your clients get the health benefits plus adding in a strong income stream for you and your business. The ambassador program, which is by application only, means you get exclusive access to sell My Body Blends products like Superfood Elixir to your clients, plus giving you the special ambassador pricing and bonuses. So once you become an ambassador, you can join the other top health and fitness players that are adding thousands to their week's income. Now, there is only a limited number of ambassadors we are taking on board, as this is a tribe leading the way together. So to apply and to join, go to mybodyblends.com/ambassador, or add the checkout code that is Turning Pro, all one word, when you're going to get your own superfood elixir to order. Plus, you're going to get free shipping and a bonus to save yourself over $250 instantly. So just use that coupon code turning pro in the checkout, and you can save over $250 right now, all on mybodyblends.com.
Whether it's, when I come home or if I'm working from the house, at the end of the day when the kids come home, going over homework, I bathe all of the kids at nighttime. I help with the dinner preparation. I put the kids down, and that's my time to spend. And then afterwards, I spend time with my wife, doing what she likes to do, regardless if it's something I want to do. Like, I don't watch television. Like, I'm not a television guy. She loves television. So what do I do in my free time when we're home? We'll watch a television program because that's what she likes to do.
Yeah.
And I consciously make that a decision and an effort in my schedule. And then when everybody's down, I get up and I get back to what I want to do and kind of close my day out. But that's a conscious decision. You have to prioritize the family aspect.
So true. Okay, this kind of like parlays over to a question I wanted to. So I'm going to bring this in right now. And this is how to prioritize and do only what matters. Maybe if we can start talking first on a personal level, and then we can transfer this across to what do we start doing actually in the business. So as a human being, a man or a woman living a day-to-day life, how do we start prioritizing and only doing what matters?
Focus on yourself first. And what I mean by that, and I don't want that to sound selfish, is be the best version of yourself that you can be so you can help and prepare and do well for others. A good friend of mine, his name's Sean Whalen. I'll give you this example. He uses a phrase called "kings eat first," and that phrase gets a lot of heat. Like, "Oh, you're such a dick. What a selfish thing to say." The thought process behind it is I need to be the best version of myself so I can show up in other people's lives and give them the best of me to be able to bring everybody along through that journey. For me, it starts with, I'll give you kind of a glimpse into my morning routine. I'm up at 4:45. I take my youngest son, who's the quote unquote, people who follow me, he's the intern. He's our youngest son. He's going to be 1 tomorrow. And he gets up early. So instead of squandering that time trying to fight him to go back to sleep, I get up. I drink 32 ounces of water. Ice water with half a lemon, splash of cayenne pepper, and a little bit of Himalayan sea salt to get my metabolism and my mind going.
Nice.
I transition out, I get dressed. We go do a 2-mile walk. I run them around the lake. I bring a book with me, any book that I just grab off the shelf, and I do a mile to the lake. The baby falls asleep during the run. I read 2-3 passages for about 15 minutes. I digest that. I think about it. I try to institute whatever piece of knowledge into the beginning part of my day, so I'm thinking about something different, and then I run back. Drop the baby off, I shower, get dressed, get into work mode. But you see, I've started my day with hydration, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of reading, and some physical activity. That starts my day in motion. So I schedule that. That's something that, it's at 4:30 in the morning, at 5 in the morning when other people are sleeping. That's the time that I spend getting my day in order. And I think it's scheduling time. Anything you do should have it should have physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of it in your schedule every single day.
I love where you're going, and I love your presence in the moment. Like, as in, for myself, I wake up at 5 and I do the exact same thing, like water with the lemon juice or apple cider vinegar with some electrolytes in there, and moving onwards and being able to kind of like feed the brain first, get the body moving, and then going onward. But I really like, because like there's what's the author's name? Simon Sinek. He just released a book saying like, what was it? It was like leaders eat last or something like that. Anyway, the concept that he has is great, but the kings eat first scenario I really like, because I think so many people are not martyring themselves, but they're not putting their best intentions forward, because you've got to be the best person to move forward. Like, I have always loved the Zig Ziglar quote, you'll get what you want when you help others get what they want. And it's like, you've got to be, as you said, the best person you can be, so then you can obviously deliver what's needed for everybody else.
Absolutely. Well, you hit something smart on the head. Is I think when you get into a level of servitude where it's reactive versus proactive, meaning people are asking you to do shit and you're reacting to that.
Yeah.
What happens is, in that mode, now you become a servant to others versus being able to serve others. You are a servant to others, where others dictate how, and you become reactive versus proactive. That's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between serving and being almost being a victim to being forced to serve. Right? Like, we have to be proactive versus reactive in anything.
I think that's, you've just absolutely knocked that out of the park, because exactly what the question starting this was like, how do we prioritize and do only what matters? If you're being proactive, you are going to be able to do only what matters, not waking up, getting caught up in social media, not getting caught up in emails, not getting caught up in all the minutia that's really not going to lead you to that priority goal that you're trying to go towards.
There's two things, Chris. There are the goals that matter, regardless of what they are, with your relationship, with your health, with your business. Then there are the tactics to get to those goals. Everything else in the middle is wasted time. So you make a decision as to what those things are going to be filled with. And listen, man, I'm not perfect. I screw up all the time. I eat shitty. I forgot. I don't do my workouts. I don't prioritize right. But the thing is, I know the blueprint, and when I follow the blueprint, I produce and I operate at a level better than if I don't.
Can I ask then, how do you help an entrepreneur that you're working with, or just any human being at all? How do you help a person discover what it is that they want, and then discover the tactics to then get those steps moving?
I start first and foremost with experience and then passion. And then I tie those into how do you bring those to market to drive revenue. Let me put this in story format, Chris. There's a gentleman, his name's Ryan. Ryan called me a while ago. He saw me on Facebook and said, "Hey, man, I've got some ideas about business and some social media stuff. I want to build a subscription service or a continuity program. What do you expect? How can you help me?" So we set up a call and we went through it. And you see, Ryan was an interesting character. He spent 16 years in the Navy he worked on boats, very, very well skilled on large ships. He transitioned that into working on yachts. So in a civilian world, he works on these big, huge yachts in the East Coast. Well, what happens is these captains charter these multi-million-dollar yachts. And during off season, what they do is they break down or the maintenance gets screwed up. And there's 5 or 6 things that happen to every single yacht. And these guys are not prepared to fix them. So they end up in some third world island with some guy that's going to charge them a tremendous amount of money to fix it and keep them kind of holed up for 5 or 6 days. So his thought was, how can I use my experience to help these captains fix what they wanted, fix this problem? I said, we go through this and we solution it. I come up with some ideas and I said, this is a subscription service that I would take to market at about $3,500 to start. I would go from $3,500. I'd put this into a catalog and I would break that into 4 or 5 different videos based on each one of these problems with a catalog of 20. And then I would say you'd take level 1 or level 2 service calls and that'll be $10,000 a month. Who pays the bill on that? Is it the ship owner or the captain? It's the ship owner. You're talking about a ship owner who's got a $10 million yacht. You don't think $10,000 for service is like, that's expensive? That's cheap. And he froze. And he was like, I could tell he was uncomfortable. And I said, Ryan, how long have you been in business? I said, how long have you been working on ships? And he's like, 15 years. And he was giving me his rundown again. And I said, you're pricing yourself in the market based on your experience in selling. You're pricing yourself in the market based on your experience in marketing. Well, you're not a sales guy. You're not a marketing guy. You are a ship built. You're a ship mechanic, dude. So what you're telling me is you're pricing yourself as though you're a salesperson with, less than 6 months experience. You need to step up and you need to sell your experience as part of your value proposition. That's your value proposition. Now let me help you put the tools and the process and the measurables around the launch plan. And all the shit that you don't know how to do, you hire me to do it. And then I hold you accountable and we launch. And then, in 45 days, you're off and running. But that's the way, from a very tactical, specific example of what I do.
I love that. I think that's really, really important for the listener to understand how simple that can be, but also identifying. I love, because I see this all the time. This is something I see on a weekly basis, is someone saying like, oh, how much do I charge? Like, this is how much I'm charging. I'm just like, you're doing that in complete, like, you're thinking about the wrong way getting to that number. And I love how you're saying you're a ship mechanic and you're selling yourself as an experience of being a salesman when you're not a salesman. Like, you've got tremendous experience, and he's obviously like $10,000 to be able to save. Like, the cost of running the ship for one day would cost more than that.
Yes.
If he's getting held up for 5 to 6 days, like, even I can piece that together right now.
That's right. That's right.
So, okay, I love that. I think this is really good. All right, last question I would love to delve in with you, brother, is why does a 30-second sales pitch matter? Firstly, does it matter? And if it does, how do we start going about it?
I think it absolutely matters. And here's the thing is, when in corporate sales, I ran a team that had about 500 people. Of those 500 people, I hired most of them. And when I would I did the sales training. And Chris, there's kind of 3 things you need to always be able to tell. One is in 20 seconds or less, tell me what you do. Mm-hmm. And then the next piece, if I were to equate them to American baseball pitches, like you have to have 3 pitches in your arsenal. The next pitch would be a 2-minute description as to what you do. And then the last piece would be, I'm going to play a full inning with you, right? And it's very, very important that you're able to articulate what it is you do, the problem you solve, and why it's important. Whether that's 20 seconds, 2 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah. And what I've learned through this process is people don't give a shit about what you do. Mm-hmm. They don't care. What they care about is what you do solves a specific problem, and can you show me social validation that you've done it before and other people like me have been helped? Yeah. Right? So if you're saying, I used to hear this all the time. I was in the technology industry where you'd say, I'm a global Fortune 500 company, $6 billion of revenue a year. We've got 32 locations around the globe, and we've got partnerships with, the top leading 200, technology manufacturers. Why does any of that matter? Yeah. What does that shit matter to me if I'm a customer? I'm in Duluth, Minnesota, and I need a printer. Yeah, I don't need all of these international global things. I think that, having a $6 billion company now just sounds like you're going to be expensive to do business with. What I do first is ask the question. Well, if I'm being asked what I do versus positioning what I do, it's a little bit different, the sales engagement. But I absolutely think you need to have, you need to be able to say what you do in 2 minutes or less.
Do you think one of the good things that comes out of sitting down and crafting this message is actually the clarity that it gives the business owner, the entrepreneur themselves about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and who they're really serving?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. What I would do is I would look up, there's a company by the name of the Campfire Effect. It's run by a guy, his name is Chris Smith. I highly, highly, highly recommend. Put this link in the show notes, and I'll make an introduction for you to meet this guy.
Awesome.
So here's the thing: is if I ask 100 entrepreneurs if they're good at what they do, 99 of them will tell you, "Yes, I'm good at what you do." If I ask that same question, say, "Are you good at telling people what you do?" If 60% of them are going to say, "I can't tell people what I do." My wife still has no idea what I do, Chris. No clue. She hasn't known what I've done for 10 years. She's no idea what I do. It's being able to tell the story about what you do and why that is so important is more important than selling and serving into a market. Because people don't buy products or services, they buy from people. And once you're able to tell that story, you're able to connect with more audience.
What would just so the listener can walk away and say some practical action steps, what would be those elements of that story that they can craft it around?
Why did you start? Why is it important? And what's the problem you're trying to solve?
Beautiful. I love that. It's so simple. 3-prong answer right there. That's why you're on board. Brother, you're just absolutely smart. I find this, I'll be perfectly upfront right now. I find doing this show is such a selfish thing for me to do because I get to have such awesome conversations, but it's so great because we get to share this out with the world as well. But and as I said when I just started chatting with you, you are the first human being I'm talking to right now today, and I'm just absolutely loving this. And being able to delve deep in some real awesome concepts and ideas and being able to share this out, this makes my day. So, brother, thank you so much. Now, before I let you go, how does the world get to know more about Kolby, what you're doing, and what's going on?
2 places. You can go to Facebook and just search Kolby, K-A-Y. So it's K-O-L-B-Y. Last name is K-A-Y. You can find me there. I've got my hand in 8 or 9 businesses that I'm actively involved in, and I'm always posting, various things from a private Facebook group that I run on sales and marketing to regional seminars I do to the coaching I do for small business to the nonprofits I'm involved in.
Awesome.
Flip side is you can go to Take Action Academy, and you can see the regional events I do specifically for entrepreneurs. I focus on personal brand, sales process, building a value proposition, overcoming objections. That I dive very heavily into online marketing, specifically to social media. Like how do you create a video Facebook ad that drives results, and whether it's capturing emails or revenue. And then I close that up with kind of tools, process, best in class. There's workbooks. I do it in a classroom style. So when you leave, you've got direct things you can go take action on while we're in class.
I love it. And I'm going to link to all of it because I was creeping you out yesterday and I was
yeah.
So it's all good. Okay, I'm going to put those links into the show notes. Kolby, thank you so much, my brother. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to talking to you very, very soon. But I know the listener right now is just going to be frothing at the mouth. So big thank you.
Oh, man, it's an honor and a pleasure again. Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
Thank you so much for being here. And if you've liked this episode, please share it out and make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss out. Now, to really get the most out of you being here, go to turningproacademy.com/start here. There you can get access to the free coaching guide. So if you want to know how to double or triple your clients in just a few weeks, or if you want to start and grow your online business, be sure to head on over to turningproacademy.com/start here to get free access to it now. And as always, I'm so thankful for you being here, and I'm really looking forward to you joining next week in the new episode.